Newton's Apple is made possible by a grant from 3M, the company where creative people find ways to make our world even better. 3M, innovation.
Hi, I'm Sujin Pak. Welcome to Newton's Apple and our salute to engineers. Engineers use science and technology to solve problems and turn ideas into reality. They contribute to our safety, our comfort, and our environment. David Heil had a pop bottle that he wanted to recycle and was curious to know what exactly happens after you drop it into the recycling bin. What do engineers do to turn one bottle into another? What kind of science and technology are involved? Look for the answers in this story.
Every year, we throw away 28 billion glass bottles and jars. That's a sad fact when you consider that each one of these could have been recycled instead. How does that process work? I decided to find out by following my empty root beer bottle from the recycling bin to the factory.
First, the glass has to be collected. Each bottle is placed in a separate bin depending on its color, either brown, green, or clear.
Hey, can I catch a ride with you?
Sure, hop on. I'll be done in a minute.
Okay.
Only glass bottles and jars can be recycled. But other glass materials like windows, light bulbs, and ceramics are created differently and can't be mixed together. After finishing their neighborhood pickups, the recycling trucks bring the glass to a central transfer station.
Okay, thanks so much.
Here, the glass is inspected, and anything other than bottles or jars is removed. Then the glass is loaded into a semi-truck and continues on to the factory.
Okay.
Soon, we arrived at a recycling plant of the Anchor Glass Corporation, where I met John Svobodny, the finished products superintendent.
Hello, David. Welcome to Anchor.
Hi there, John.
After arriving, the glass is dumped into piles, still separated by color.
Glass. John, doesn't look like too many of the bottles made it whole either, huh?
No, at this point it's considered cullet.
Cullet, that's what broken glass is called?
Correct.
Why is it so important to separate the glass, green, brown, clear, etc.?
Each color has its own composition. In order to make a good final product, it has to be right.
So there's no way that we can take a brown bottle and turn it into a clear canning jar?
No, with the coloring agent that we use in the amber, we can't take that out. We can't take the brown out.
But we can turn it into another brown bottle,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
All right, I guess it's time to begin the process.
Before it can be melted, the cullet has to be crushed into very small pieces. This happens in the cullet processing system. The cullet still contains some things besides glass, like labels and bottle caps, which need to be removed. As it travels up the conveyor belt, the cullet passes under a large magnet that pulls out most of the metal objects. When the cullet reaches the top of the conveyor, it falls into the glass crusher, breaking up the cullet into smaller and smaller pieces. Next, a huge vacuum removes any loose labels and aluminum caps. If any pieces are larger than a quarter, they're sent back to run through the system again until all non-glass objects are removed and each piece of glass is crushed small enough.
That's great. So then what you end up with is almost clean glass at this point.
Right. The cullet goes into our batch system, and the batch area consists of sand, soda ash, limestone, cullet, and then a few minor ingredients for coloring agents.
So you're actually mixing the recycled glass with the original raw materials that would make glass.
Right.
Is there a cost savings to using the recycled glass?
Actually, it costs us more to buy cullet than it does to buy our other ingredients.
What's the incentive then?
Energy, David.
Oh, and lots of it.
This furnace is where each batch is melted down.
Take a look
It takes a
inside
lot of energy to melt both cullet and the raw materials. But cullet melts at a lower temperature, which can reduce the energy needed by up to 25%. The molten liquid flows out of the furnace into the bottle forming machines at a temperature of 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit. The bottles are formed into the proper shape and then blown hollow with air. More than 250 bottles are created each minute, and at this point, they're still 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit.
David, you see the rest of the bottle in there? Very high.
The bottles then travel through the cooling system, which consists of a series of fans that gradually cool the bottles to prevent them from cracking. A few bottles from each batch are then inspected for the necessary quality, including proper weight, size, and visual appearance. It takes almost 45 minutes for each bottle to move from molten glass to a finished bottle.
Well, Dave, after it's case packed here, it's off to the customer.
So in a sense, this is the end of the line for manufacturing the bottle.
Right.
At least until it comes back to be recycled again.
Yeah, there you go.
This has been great, John. Thanks so
Dave.
much.
Well, our root beer bottle has become a steak sauce bottle. Now we buy it, use it, then recycle it, starting the whole process over again. Which reminds me, I'm really hungry. Care to join me for lunch?